Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Coach Me Plus. Coach Me Plus is the leader in athlete management software and a product that we've been lucky enough to implement here for over 2 years now. The product in and of itself is exactly what you need it to be, guys, with options ranging from being a workout provider, as in sending the workout directly to the student athletes' phones, to being a place where you can communicate with them and bring together multiple streams of data to be its own dashboard for you, your coaching staff, or the athletes. Or you can use what we've added to our menu of Coach Me Plus activities, and that's the Hydration Station, where all of this information that is provided is based off of research from the Corey Stringer Institute, where we're looking at weighing in versus weighing out and then providing optimal hydration strategies for the student athletes by them selecting through the menu and tapping on what they'll take home with them and what they're consuming prior to the next practice when all the numbers at the top are lined up green. It's something we've had really good success with and the kids have really bought in on. Just another great example of the awesome product that you can find at CoachMePlus.com. Guys, hop over to CoachMePlus.com today and check it out. It's a product I guarantee you won't be disappointed with. Hey everybody, if you enjoy the podcast and the content it provides, be sure to hop over and check out the community. The community is an exclusive members website that is just an extension of what we do here in July at the Central Virginia Sport Performance Seminar. What it is a combination of video lectures, a coach's corner with your Monday morning take-home information, and a forum where you can talk about anything and everything related to the field of strength and conditioning. In the community, you'll find content added each month from some of the top practitioners in the world, ranging from PhDs to high-level coaches, bringing you exactly what they're doing with their athletes or their research at the present moment. On top of that, an additional discussion by coaches bringing you that Monday morning information, things that you can add to your training program right away. Tying that in with the opportunity to discuss with coaches around the world in the forum on anything and everything from the topics addressed in these presentations to whatever you're seeing in your daily life as a coach. If this sounds like the right thing for you and your staff, go ahead and hop over to cvasps.com/community and try it out for 48 hours for just $1. If you like it, you're signed up, ready to roll, and you're jumping into all the great content added each month. If not, feel free to go ahead and cancel at any time. No questions asked. We're really excited about what we're building in the community and hope you are too. Go ahead and hop over to cvasps.com/community and check it out today. Hello and welcome to the podcast. Today, guys, I have the absolute pleasure of sitting down and talking with Matthew Ibrahim about dosing exercise, safety, and communication when we're training athletes who are in pain. Right now, Matthew is working at TD's Athletes Edge up in Massachusetts, and they are putting on a symposium/workshop called Hip Hinge 101. And we kind of break that down, talk about all of it, where the idea came from, and what the goals are of the class. After that, we get into the whole idea of the hip hinge and some kind of troubleshooting/frequently seen issues that Matthew has with his clients that he's working with, both athletes and some Gen Pop people. I mean, he gets into like step by step breaking down like how to move forward and how to progress and how to correct things. It's really, really an awesome talk, guys. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Let's get right to it. Matthew, thank you so much for being on with us today, bud.
Jay, brother, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So listen, let's give people just a quick background as to where you are and what you're doing, so we can get into the meat and potatoes here.
That's what I love. So for me, background like everyone else in exercise science, undergraduate degree. Kind of messed around, didn't know what I wanted to do. I was lucky enough to get an internship at Mike Boyle's. It was a good kind of kick in the face for me because I was awful. And so it was good. It kind of brought me to some realization. I got my CPT. I was training some clients, certified trainer or whatnot, getting as much experience as I could. And I ended up taking a liking to kind of the rehabilitative side and the physical therapy side. So I was like, all right, let me try to go to school for that. Grades were not that good. And, I wasn't as driven as I am now and didn't have that fire lit, so to speak. And so by the time I was applying for doctor of PT schools and whatnot. It didn't matter at that point. I took a year after school after I graduated undergrad. I was taking night courses, community colleges. I was still interning at Boyles. I was working as a physical therapy rehab aide at a clinic. And then I ended up working at other performance training centers locally, still training clients out of my garage, kind of doing whatever I could, still in the rehab setting. 2 years of that went by, didn't get in. And so the third time around, I was like, okay, like let me have a backup plan. This isn't working. So I did not get in the third year in a row, but I got into a couple of master's programs. And then I was like, you know what, like, I don't know if I want to do the masters right now. I kind of think it would always be available to me. So let me push it off for a moment. And I ended up finding this guy. It's the room I'm in now. It's at Boston Physical Therapy and Wellness in Medford, about 10 minutes south of Boston. And he took me on. He just opened up a PT clinic, but I was like, all right, this guy's got some kettlebells, some barbell stuff, some pull-up bars. He got some gym stuff going. Maybe I can rock with that. And so I started working here, doing all the initial assessments, working locally at the high school with all the athletes, so training all the sports performance stuff, taking some semi-private training clients here, mostly Gen Pop. And I was like, look, I have this obviously I'm a strength coach, performance coach, whatnot, since 2009, but since 2011, I've been working in a rehab setting as well, like sports rehab, sports medicine, stuff like that. I'm like, how do I express that tool? Being able to understand the lens of a healthcare practitioner, rehab professional, if you will, but understanding there's a line of integrity, knowing my scope, I can use kind of, for lack of a better term, I understand the injury prevention, protocols or the corrective strategies, if you will. And I'm throwing air quotes up because I don't really use those terms, but I think for the general lay public, they'll get it. So utilizing my rehab lens within a strength coach setting, and obviously knowing when to punt the ball back to the rehab professional. Meaning if something's out of my scope, line of integrity, give it back to the PT or the rehab professional, and they'll punt it back when we're ready. So I took it on knowing that, how do I put a letter next to that? How do I write that in the bio? So I ended up going to license of massage therapy school for 1 year, graduated about a year and a half ago. And the thought process was, I'll use this from a sports rehab setting, meaning I'm not going to be doing 1 hour massage with candle lit, lights closed. But by no means am I discrediting that. It's not what I wanted to utilize that tool for. I got my LMT. I was doing mostly 1 hour treatments and a quick localized assessment, some hands-on manual therapy, and then some exercise to load it up, because the goal is to train and to lift and to exercise, to move, not to spend come once a week for the I'm not looking to do those type of things. And so it was working well, but to be honest with you, Jay, not my cup of tea. So I am still licensed. I'll continue to keep that license and pay for the license, sure. I may use it, like if a client comes in, a training client says, hey, my neck's been kind of jacked up, whatnot. And if I deem it necessary to use a quick 1 or 2 minute soft tissue manual therapy tool, 1 or 2 quick minutes, and then let's go train, I will. But predominantly speaking, I don't really use it that often. It's just a tool that I have access to. And so, I've worked in this facility now for the past few years. It's been great. It's been fun. I just took an opportunity with Tim DeFrancesco of TD Athletes Edge. And so we're running shop in a place about 30 minutes north of Boston, training facility, performance training, doing all assessments, semi-private training. So I'm the lead performance coach of TD Athletes Edge. And that's going to be a fun opportunity because I've known Timmy for the past 3 or 4 years through a mutual client connection. And he's been a great mentor to me, great friend. And when he said, once he had finalized his kind of resignation with the Lakers, he's been there for the past 6 years as the head strength coach. Mm-hmm. He had left, and he's like, look, I'm coming back to town. I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's make it happen. So there's some long-term stuff that might come into fruition with the clinic as well as TD Athletes Edge. But for now, running shop with TD Athletes Edge, and that's going to be fun. We look forward to it because the big thing with that, and I'm sure you can attest, and most people that will be listening and watching can attest, is that, look, whether it's a client, a patient, an athlete, it doesn't matter. We're all human beings. And it's just a matter of, what exercise dosage or intensity or volume you need per your specific goal. So in my opinion, every single human being is an athlete, and every athlete is human beings. That's how I think we should look at things. And, it's just a matter of scaling. You know what I mean? Same thing with rehab and training. Sure. 2 ends of the spectrum, 2 different ends. And they are different. but in essence, they are on the same spectrum. Meaning, it just comes down to intensity, dosage, and other specific protocols. But at the end of the day, we're prescribing exercise as the means of medicine to get this person better, to heal, if you will, and then get back to your performance, get back to fitness, get back to physical activity, get back to training, get back to your sport. So, in my opinion, I think by no means I am not a physical therapist. I get asked that question a lot just because based on the content I put out, but I think my background in the sports rehab setting, in being able to utilize that rehab lens, that movement based lens, aids in my ability to kind of be a better strength coach and kind of see things, break them down, and kind of know when to properly administer a progression, a regression, or lateralization with the good reason as to why I'm doing it, not just because it looks sexy. But in my opinion, the most important thing, and if people want to talk research, they can. But the most important thing that gets people better, whatever their goal is, relatively speaking, is strength, like training. At the end of the day, strength training, in my opinion, is the easiest, simplest selling tool, if you will. But it gets people better. It gets them stronger. Gets them, not just from a physical standpoint, Jay, like from a mental standpoint as well. So, if you can load someone up, we're going to load them up in a safe and effective manner for long-term health. And as long as we're keeping that notion in mind of minimum effective dosage for maximum effective outcome, like what's going to get them to that goal the quickest, the simplest, and the safest, then I'm all for it. So that's kind of my background in a long-winded nutshell.
No, and there's some awesome stuff, but it's going to lead right into this question, which is talking about, using things and, the minimal dose and doing the right amount at the right time and this and that. You guys are teaching some things about that. So let's get into that Hip Hinge 101 and, where the idea came from, what exactly you guys are doing and how this kind of evolved.
Great question. So, and thank you for asking. So the clinic I'm at now, so the room that I'm in at Boston PT and Wellness, the boss Dave, he hired Zach Gabor about a year and a half ago, and Zach and I had been friends for a few years leading up to that. Zach was at the time, a DPT student. He was a strength coach as well. And, he wasn't one of those PTs who just get the CSCS to say they're a strength coach. He was actually training clients, which I had respect for, obviously. Mm-hmm. And he reached out to me initially via an email. And I'm big on punctuation, grammar. And I'm like, wow, this is a really damn good email. And you could feel the passion oozing through the screen. And I was like, all right, I got to hit this cat up. And so got on a call and we got along so well, like PB&J, if you will. And, he would come out, visit me at the gym. I would go out visit him. And that kind of led to us saying, like, look, you're done with school, man. I'd love for you to come work in Boston. So I don't know if it's maybe I cajoled or kind of shoved or forced, but I made it known that, I wanted my boss at the time to say, hey, like this kid, he's going to be a freaking stud, man. You got to bring him on board because he possesses skills where, sure, he's great from an orthopedic standpoint, but he understands the importance of loading and S&C and training. And so he brought him on board, and we were having clients where I was training them, and it's all in the same room, Jay. So like you could see it. So he'd be treating someone on a table, I'd be training someone, and we'd have this mutual client dealing with some low back problems. Go figure, right? Like 80% of the population at one point or another deals with low back problems. That's a staggering number that we can help mitigate. Like you can help mitigate that by proper coaching, instruction, education, empowerment, in my opinion, and guidance. And so we were working together, and we were like, shit, man, we're seeing a lot of low back stuff. I mean, go figure, right? And so we're like, if you ask someone to squat, like during an assessment, all right, Jay, like show me a squat. More often than not, most people know what a squat is. Now, granted, sure, you might see the heels fly off, you might see the knees caving in, but more often than not, they'll know, relatively speaking, what a squat is. If I say do a hip hinge, you're like, what does that mean? Like the hinge on the door? Like, what are we talking about? So we're like, all right, maybe there's something here. And so we often see people and workshops happen where it's the powerlifting workshop, the big three, and I think those are awesome. I love them. Mm-hmm. But I truly believe you can spend a lot of time on one topic. And so we started by rolling out with a 4-hour workshop, like a half day. And boy, were we surprised ourselves. And so we did the first one. We sent, oh, thank you so much to the attendees. We had like 15 people show up, I think. Thank you so much. Like, how can we make it better? Like, we had a questionnaire, and like they were like, make it longer. We're like, okay, like that's 15 people saying make it longer. Maybe we should listen to them. And so we kind of curated it. We spent, at this point, we've spent, I don't know, like at least 100 plus, 200 plus hours on the content, revising, editing. We're always meeting about it. We've been doing this since May of 16, so it's been about a year and a half. We've done about 10. We got about 5 booked out, and so we advance it to a full day, and we're like, all right, let's test this out. Let's see how this rolls. And people seem to enjoy it. So okay, cool. Like again, how can we make it better? What can we do? So in a nutshell, our Hip Hinge 101 workshop, which is now accredited through the NSCA and NASM, so 2 governing bodies in our field that, people are certified through. So we figured it'd be important to, provide CEUs for people because they have to get them anyways. And, if we can make our workshop more appeasing to the eye and more helpful for coaches and trainers in the field, we'd love to help do that. So we got accredited through those governing bodies. And so, the way we run it is we open up and we talk about kind of what I'm talking about now, like this anecdotal story, like, hey, we had a couple clients with it and we figured it was something cool to talk about. We did not expect it to turn into what it's into now. And so, we open up talking about kind of anecdotal, the importance of low back health. Zach will hit us with some period, some journals, some articles and whatnot, because people look, you need to get started, to get accredited, you kind of have some of the literature. So we did that. And then we open up with, load management and training intelligently around injury. And that's the big one because, sure, we have a lot of PTs coming to our courses, ATCs, chiros, LMTs. We have a lot more strength coaches and personal trainers and fitness professionals come. And so we try to explain, like, look, like, this whole notion of pain science, like all the training around injuries, all it comes down to is proper dosage, right? Safety, and just communicating with the client, the person in front of you. And so that's what we try to preach. And so after that, he'll break down some of the kind of the hip hinge, like the continuum of what it looks like. It doesn't always have to be a conventional deadlift. It can be a broad jump. It can be a kettlebell swing. It can be a single leg deadlift. It can be an RDL. It can be a trap bar, sumo, so on and so forth. We're not trying to put people in one bucket, so to speak. And so after that, he does a live kind of an assessment that anyone can do. It's not like, oh, we're going to do some PT special tests. It's none of that bullshit. It's more of like some simple hip range of motion stuff, some simple trunk stability stuff, like basic stuff that we should all be able to do and all credentialed to do. After that, do a quick little lunch break, and then I come through in the afternoon and go over like bracing, breathing, and spinal stiffness mechanics and how to set your spine up to protect your back for long-term pain-free deadlifting. I think that's the most important thing we're looking at. Sure, pain-free is probably a buzzword, but we're really looking for that. We're looking for, and deadlifting can mean many things to many people. Like, it doesn't always have to be look like, I'm a 600 plus pound power lifter, deadlifter. Here we go. Great. That's definitely an audience we talk to as well. But predominantly speaking, we're teaching people how to protect their back for long-term health. And you should be able to lift weight off the floor pain-free for the long term, whether that's a 600-pound conventional barbell deadlift, whether it's a trap bar, whether it's picking your baby off the ground, whether it's taking the clothes out of the washer, put them in the dryer, dishwasher, so on and so forth. Like low back pain in association with hip hinge mechanics and deadlifting, they should work in concert. You should be healthy long term and protecting your spine and all these good things. So after that, after the kind of the spinal stiffness and protecting your back, we talk about some of the using a performance language, meaning, and like you're a strength coach and let's say you have an ATC on staff, being able to speak the same language and get along with each other, but also communicate in such a way that, sure, you can talk science back and forth from the sports med professional and the sports performance, training professional. But when you talk to the human in front of you, like the client, the athlete, the patient, the human being, like dumb that shit down. Like they don't care if their C7 is out of a line. Like, hey man, your neck's all jacked up. No problem. We'll get you fixed. All good. Or like, we're going to work on some of that left leg strength. No problem. Okay. Not like, oh man, you're really weak, man. Your spine's gonna shoot out the back like toothpaste coming out of the toothpaste bottle. Mm-hmm. Like, chill out with the language, So using simple context-based language that's digestible for the person in front of you, and not kind of speaking over them, and building buy-in, building a relationship, connecting with them, which I think is the most important thing that helps overall build a community and a culture. All within the context of low back pain and deadlift and all that stuff. And then after that, we go over specific, like a starting point from hip hinge, like a glute bridge, so to speak, and then how you advance to the next level of deadlifting and hip hinge exercises. And then at which point, there's 3 buckets, right? and you have to choose whether you're a general population client or a lifestyle athlete, as I like to talk about, or you're a linear athlete, meaning you're a power lifter. You only have 3 lifts to focus on, or you're a more broader athlete, like a basketball player, a soccer player, a volleyball player. The reason I differentiate linear to broader, meaning, well, I have more movement and variability and variance if I'm a basketball player or volleyball, soccer, hockey, football, so on and so forth. Whereas in powerlifting, I mean, it literally is straightforward. So once you understand which bucket you are in, right? Which, at the course, okay, I like powerlifting. Okay, you're in the powerlifting bucket. If I'm a general pop, I'm just going for long-term health and longevity and spinal resilience, and I'm not trying to get hurt. Okay, cool. Go in the gen pop bucket. And then from there, you pick, like when we have the deadlift party, so to speak, and by no means are we going for PRs. We're trying to apply the tools we've taught from a sports performance and sports medicine standpoint, so they can coach each other up, break out in groups. Okay, I'm going to conventional, I'm going to sumo, I'm going to elevate, I'm going to block pull, I'm going to RDL, I'm going to trap bar, and then do that. And let's meet, let's talk about it, let's have breakouts. And every hour within the workshop, we do breakouts and we talk. And at the end of the day, the hope is that they can leave at least one golden nugget, and that makes us happy. And so that's kind of the standard we hold ourselves to. And so we got one coming up this weekend, this Sunday in Vermont. We got one coming up in California in about a month. And then the 2 days prior to that, we're doing one at a private facility out there in Cali, just like an in-service. And then another one's going to be at a university. So we're happy about that. We're super pumped for that, hoping we can spread into the university setting. And then next year, we just secured dates. One date's going to be in Italy, Milan, Italy. One is going to be in Maryland, and then one's going to be in Southern California. So we're looking forward to it. We love teaching, educating, but at the same time, kind of like you and I talked about before, is that we're looking to learn too. Like, we want to get better. And if we can find ways to better serve the community and help the field as a whole grow, we're going to do that. So that's kind of our mission and our goal with the workshops.
Yeah, and that's awesome, man, especially how it's kind of, developed and evolved from you guys working together in the clinic. So I guess then my question would be, what were/are some common issues that you guys see with people coming in that, like, it is kind of like, I don't know what the word is.
Like pain points?
Well, or like you just see people do stuff and you see it all the time and you're just like, it's like a face palm, it's like, what? Like, like.
There's an emoji, I swear, there's an emoji doing something like that. Yeah. Or a GIF, I think it's called a GIF, a GIF or something like that.
Right. No, but like 100%, but like, like when we get kids in, like, and we're teaching this, like there's some things we see. I would just be interested to see if there's any more that you would see around it too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's a great question, and we get that a lot at the course. Like, we will get the question like, "So you're going to talk about the deadlift for 8 hours?" We're like, "Yeah, sure as hell we're going to do that." And so to me, it's a puzzle, and you have to put the puzzle pieces together, nice and neat. So, I mean, common issues we see, right? So you see lack of rib cage control. I'm flaring the ribs when I deadlift it up, so I'm sitting in a massive extended, spinal extended pattern, right? I have never, ever seen someone, whether it's elite powerlifting, sport, I play a sport, or gen pop, get away with their deadlift for long-term pain-free health, right? They're not getting hurt when they use this excessively arched pattern in the entirety of the deadlift. I've never seen them getting away with it. If you even look at the research, which Stuart McGill will go there, because number one, he's obviously the spine expert in the world, but number two, his mustache is tremendous, and that cannot be understated. So even if you look at his research and the research that other people have done, the literature, I know it's good every time. You'll see he's even written it like a slightly flexed spine. Look at strongmen when they lift the Atlas. One of the mechanisms to get it is to really round the back to get it up, and then sure they use extension to get it over the mountain or whatever it is, but they use a certain amount of flexion based on their individual spinal patterns to get the load up. And so if you think, I mean, we've never really seen a human being get away long term without pissing their lower back off using an excessively arched or extended back. So what we opt to work for is, usually if you can kind of kill two birds with one stone, you'll do that. So in this case, rib cage control, right? Neutral spine, if you will, which there is no such thing as neutral spine. It's range of motion. It's relative, but neutral-ish, I'll call it, or somewhere in the middle between extended and flexed. if you can alleviate some of the rib control problems and lower back kind of lumbar control, like pelvis control problems, if you simply give them a trunk stability drill. Simplest input to me is a plank, like a hard style plank. Elbows on the ground, make fists, create tension, drive the elbows down toward your feet. A good stable spine position that you deem necessary, you being the individual client. Hold it, breathe, hold it 10 seconds. Squeeze everything, squeeze everything. Where should I feel this? Everywhere. Squeeze, 10 seconds, done. Cool. Was that hard? Yeah, it was pretty tense. Okay, great. That's how your spine should be when you deadlift, because you're protecting your back. And so that's something we often deal with. If you see a lack of, I guess, knee control, if you will, I mean, look, the knee is dumb. If there are three floors in a building, right? So first floor, the ankle joint, second floor, the knee joint, third floor, the hip joint. At the end of the day, the knee joint is dumb. The knee joint does what the floor above, meaning the hip joint, or the floor below, the ankle joint, tells it to do. So, and if we're talking specific to the deadlift, we're going to focus on the hips. Now, we talk squat, obviously ankles come into play more, but more often than not, we're talking the hips when it comes to deadlift. So if we can, maybe it's a sideline plank in a clamshell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a side plank with a hip abduction, hip raise, if you will. Something that's going to really target the glutes, glute med, kind of the entire glute posterior chain structure, if you will, to help work on that knee control. Mm-hmm. Stuff we see that that often gets kind of underlooked is like, well, clients are human beings' inability to sit back into the hips, meaning to hinge their butt back toward the wall behind them. Like, your hamstrings are not going to fly off. You're going to be okay. Like, you're not going to die. And so I think teaching that hinge pattern, loading the hamstrings, it may even be, lack of hamstring like conditioning, meaning its inability to withstand the load. You can isolate the hammies, whether it's a glute ham raise, Nordic hamstring curl, fizzy ball hamstring curl, and then advance it to more of the straight leg or the barbell RDL stuff. You may see someone's inability to develop the upper back. You look at someone like Chris Duffin, or a very, very heavy deadlifter. I'm talking 800, 900, 1,000 plus pounds. You look at their back, like they're yoked, and that doesn't happen by accident. And so I think people often overlook the importance of upper back development and its relationship with a heavy deadlift. And so I think we need to really work on, some people lack, I got to 405, I can't get any heavier. Bro, like, let's get some isolated upper backs up, or some rowing, or some pulling, and maybe barbell bent over rows, maybe seal rows, maybe, one arm DB rows, heavy stuff. We need to kind of overload and get that upper back strong so you can, withstand the load. And then attached to that, and this is kind of attached to trunk stability as well. When we think trunk, we think, okay, six pack, we think abs, we think core. I think we all miss the boat when it comes to the lats. You look at the lats, right? I'm not trying to get sciencey here at all. What I'm saying is, it starts in the low back and it ends right under the armpit. That's a freaking long spanning, wide surface area muscle. I probably want to utilize that to my advantage when I pick a bar that's heavy off the ground. So do we want lat stiffness? Well, hell yeah, we do. Do we want to be able to protect our back? Well, hell yeah, we do. We'll use that sucker, because, if someone to say to me, hey, look, like, is breathing important? Well, hell yeah, it is. I mean, you breathe upwards of, I forget the exact number, but upwards of close to 8 million times a year on average. And there's a stat to back it up. I don't know where it is, but I've seen it. It's in our workshop. I can give you the literature if you want, but that's a lot of times, man. So, like, we're not going to breathe for 60 minutes. Don't worry. We're not a breathing coach. We're a strength coach here and performance based. So what we're going to do is make the shit that you do better by utilizing breathing. So It may be inhale, exhale, something from a breathing, bracing standpoint to enhance your overall stiffness, to protect your back, to lift that shit off the ground, and to do it repetitively over time, and to mitigate the likelihood of injury for long-term pain-free deadlifting. So those are some of the issues we see, and I know this, and we know this. These are super simple things here. Like, none of this stuff is complex or comprehensive, but it's important, and I think a lot of people miss the boat on it, and that's why we harp on it. And that's why we spend a full day talking about it, because these are simple things here. We're not like, we're not the smartest guys in the world, but we do know this is important, and we do know we're working toward providing simple, digestible, systematic approaches for people. So that, number one, if you're just a client or an athlete, like, okay, cool, I'll work on that. Thank you, appreciate it. Or if you're actually a professional in the field, whether a coach, a trainer, a clinician, or a practitioner, you can apply these simple tools immediately the day after. So those are some of the issues we see and we fall into. And like I said, quick, simple fixes, but it takes a consistent effort, like everything does in the gym and in training.
No doubt about it. And I think that combining those two things, the like the practical, scientific, knowledge based stuff that people like us love
Hmm.
is extremely important, as also allowing them to have like that Monday morning type stuff that they can walk away and just roll right into whatever it may be they're doing with their next athlete, client, person, whatever they're doing.
Yeah. And that's our thing. Like, initially we did the first one. We were like, okay, like maybe we need it, because we'll always self, look at it, right? Self review, right? And say, hey, like, how can we make this better? And we'll kind of, Zach and I will grade each other and like, hey, like, what can we do to make this better? When I was speaking, what did you notice? When you were speaking, what did I notice? And so we're constantly trying to make it better. And the biggest number one thing is this: we're just shooting the shit, man. Like, we're sure it's a workshop, it's formalized on paper, and you're getting the CEUs, but like, look, man, like we're just trying to provide a simple educational tool for you. We're trying to have fun with you, make it seamless, make it systematic for you, but have fun in the process. And we keep it light, man. We keep it flexible. We keep it light. We're not gonna come out there, okay, lecture number one, follow the PowerPoint. Like, we have a PowerPoint that's like, I think it's a $1.89, a $1.90, a $1.91 slides deep. We spend the majority of our time just talking and elaborating on the topics. We don't have that many words. I mean, we just try to make it simple and digestible for the end user. We're not trying to speak over the heads or talk scientific jargon. There are certain terms you have to utilize, but for the most part, we're trying to make sure it is digestible and is received well by the end user. And so, we keep it simple. We think the topic is simple, but the reason why we feel it's so important to spend a full day on it is that, I mean, it's attached to a very important thing. Like, low back pain is in every population. So if we can help to mitigate that, we're not preventing injury here. No one is. It's you can't. But if you can help reduce the likelihood and try to mitigate and make people more educated, inform, and empower them, I think hopefully we can make a dent at some point in the industry.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think another awesome way that you're doing that is with this guy right here on the social media aspect, where you are kicking out all sorts of freaking awesome content.
Appreciate it.
Let's make sure people know where they can find you and what they should be doing, following you on Instagram, and what you have going on there, because there's a lot of really really good stuff out there, Matt.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah. So I mean, to be quite frank, like, a few years back, I noticed not many people in our field were on Instagram. You see Facebook, you see Twitter, and I was like, okay, like this whole Instagram thing is kind of interesting. I'll go on. And initially, like, I was just going on, just kind of posting a picture of this coffee, or posting a picture of my girlfriend, or posting a picture, whatever, just having fun with it, you know. And then I ended up kind of reframing my process and, okay, like, let me try to use it from a professional standpoint. Maybe you want to call it a marketing tool, network. I don't know. For me, I just use it to reach people, interact. Like, that's my that those and build relationships. That's important to me. So I'm like, how can I do that and educate? So, okay, I just started pumping out content. I had a blog. I don't do it anymore. I heard a couple years back at a seminar, Instagram is the new article or the new blog. I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. That person's really smart. Let me roll with that. So whether it's a picture and allocated with words underneath, so maybe you call that an article, maybe you don't. You can throw emojis in if you want to. I think sometimes it helps the end user see it and become more visual. Um, Videos of exercises, videos of demonstrations, things that on top of my head, maybe a quote I found from someone in the field I think it's great, and I'll put that up and I'll tag them and I'll show appreciation toward them, or give them credit. To me, it's just trying to provide education and simple ways to do things, whether it's an exercise video, a demonstration, a movement, a thought, a quote, or something that an image I put up. It just really kind of comes off the top of the head, kind of off the hip type stuff. And so, I get asked a lot, like, do you plan that out? And I'm like, honestly, like, I just go. I don't have any structure or plan to it. I just kind of just post. Now, I do know a lot of people in our field do a damn good job of having a plan, having a structure, having a schedule, and all they post is educational stuff. And I think it's fantastic. For me though, like, I want people to know, hey, look, I'm a human being too. Like, sure, I'll post a picture of my girlfriend here or there. I'll post a picture of some food I eat, or I'm trying to come across as someone who's relatable and open to connect. And I got to be honest with you, I thoroughly enjoy interacting with people on Instagram. As silly as it may seem, it's social media. It's a free tool for marketing or whatever, and kind of connecting. But damn, man, it connects a lot of people. There's like, this is how we met. So yeah. So I mean, I think if you use it properly, and you have a good intent behind what you're doing, and you're trying to help others succeed and get better in the field and grow and develop, and you're open to learning as well, I think it can be a smart tool to utilize to get better. And so where you can find me on there, it's simple. It's the @, my first name Matthew, my last name Ibrahim, and then one underscore. I tried to get it so I didn't have the underscore, but someone else took it. So dag nabbit, right?
Yeah, crazy. Well, as Gary Vee says, man, it all goes down in the DM. I mean, unfortunately for some, celebrities, bad things go down in the DM at times. But I mean, yeah, I can't tell you how many people I've connected just because it's like, and people ask that all the time. They're like, "Where do you find these people?" I'm like, "Bro, I just hit them up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter." And most people are like, "Dude, yeah, this is cool." And it's like I don't know if you know this or not, but most people aren't assholes. So when you ask them a question, they're like, "Cool, man. Yeah, let's talk about this stuff because it's important to me too." So,
it's so true. And it's funny because you'll find people through other people that you respect, and you see them as, okay, they're cut from the same cloth. They're speaking the same language. Like I found you through watching Corey. I hope I'm not butchering his last name, Corey Schlesinger from Stanford. I'm like, oh, I was following Corey for a few months. I'm like, this guy's putting out some dope shit. Let me follow him. And I saw that he was on your podcast. I'm like, all right. So he and I got on a call. We reached out. We chatted. Super nice dude. And then you and I connected. I was like, all right, so that's how it happens. So you're following someone who you respect, and you see us putting out good stuff, and you're like, okay, I can roll with that. And then they kind of associate themselves with someone else. Like, okay, maybe keep extending that network a bit, and building more relationships and friendships in the field. And so at the end of the day, I think the most important thing, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, phone call, talking to someone, texting, I think we should all look toward bettering each other to ultimately better the field, and steer clear of that whole this is the way we've always done it, kind of that linear one lane approach, which I think it takes away from what we can all provide for the end user, albeit the human in front of us, the athlete, the patient, the client. And so I feel like we should all work toward each other and build each other up. Coach to practitioner to clinician to anyone who's in healthcare, strength and conditioning, sport performance, fitness training, whatever, man. We're all in this together. So I think that's something that I strive to be a part of, and hopefully I'm a part of that. And anytime I can get on a call with someone or interact or learn from them, or just anyways I can grow and develop and get better myself and help others, I mean, sign me up every time. So that's kind of the biggest thing that I hope we can all get to at some point. And so and you're seeing a lot of it, which is good. You're seeing on social media. Sure, you're seeing it behind closed doors on phone calls, texts, and emails, and in person at workshops, seminars, conferences. And so the hope is that we can continue striving all together as one team in that direction.
No doubt, man. And that's an absolutely fantastic point to leave it at. This is an absolutely killer talk, man. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be with us today. We'll make sure we got all that social media stuff too in the notes, because you're putting out some killer stuff, bro. And truly appreciate everything you're doing. And again, thank you so much for the open and candidness today. I can't thank you enough. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you big time, Jay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. We'll be in touch real soon, all right?
Absolutely.
And a huge thank you to Matthew Ibrahim for being so open, honest, and candid with us today. Guys, some awesome stuff. And you really do need to check him out at Matthew Ibrahim _ on Instagram. He's putting out some great content. But how awesome was that talk? The dude sitting here and just sharing open, honest, candid progressions, regressions, what they see with problems and how they correct them with, what they're teaching, and that's the deadlift. Can't thank Matthew enough for being so open, honest, and candid today, guys. I thought it was fantastic. And as always, guys, if you enjoyed the talk, please share it through the social media outlet of your choice. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it may be. Just trying to get great information out to all the great coaches out there. And as always, guys, thank you for everything that you do for us here at Central Virginia Sport Performance. We will be back next week with another awesome guest. We will see you then.